Hello, I'm Peter DeWitt, the Program Manager for the JupyterNet Lighthouse Outstanding Natural Area. Thank you for joining us for this pre-recorded presentation concerning the Great American Outdoors Act Shoreline Stabilization Project. The purpose of this presentation is to help achieve a common understanding of the issue of shoreline erosion at the outstanding natural area. It's the initiation of an opportunity for stakeholders and interested parties to provide us their perspectives and help us identify concerns, opportunities, and potential solutions. As many of you already know, the Outstanding Natural Area is a congressionally designated site. It was designated by the Consolidated Natural Resources Act of 2008 to protect, conserve, and enhance a set of unique and important values. Those values are the historic value of the site, which is a significant maritime and military history, including the National Register listed Jupiter Inlet Lighthouse. Cultural resources, including over 5,000 years of archaeological record that can be found from human occupation of the site. Biological values were also highlighted in that congressional protection, including the protection of 28 special stated species, 6 of which are federally listed, over 4 sensitive habitats. In addition to the tangible values, Congress also recognized the important value of recreational opportunities provided by the site, of which over 100,000 visitors enjoy annually. Congress directed us to manage for scientific research opportunities, of which we currently have research with Palm Beach State College, Florida Atlantic University, and even Brigham Young University in Utah. Educational values were also highlighted in the Congressional Act, for which our partners provide over 100 K-12 educational programs each year, along with a slew of other educational opportunities for pre-kindergarten and adults. Finally, Congress recognized the scenic qualities of the site, which we interpret to mean the iconic nature of the lighthouse and the protected green space around it. It is the presence of these congressionally recognized, nationally unique and significant values that makes shoreline stabilization at the outstanding natural area critically important for their protection. Shoreline erosion is a major threat to those values and other resources at the outstanding natural area. While erosion is a natural process caused by rain, runoff, wind, and tide and storm events, it is contributed to and accelerated by human activity such as the energy produced in a boatway and direct use of the shoreline. Some activities, such as pulling up in your boat along the shoreline, have a minimal impact on erosion. However, seemingly insignificant actions, such as climbing the dune, pacing back and forth, sliding down the dune, digging into the dune, can have a major effect on erosion. Erosion is nothing new at the ONA shoreline. In fact, it's been recorded and monitored since the 1950s. As you can see on the graphic on the left, the purple line represents the location of the shoreline in 1953. The red line represents the location of the shoreline in 2017. You'll notice that the earlier data recorded, the lines are closer together, and the more recent data, including more recent survey intervals, the lines are further apart. This is indicative of accelerating erosion. To better understand and measure the rates of erosion along the shoreline, the Bureau of Land Management has partnered with the Florida Atlantic University to conduct a shoreline change detection study. That study began in 2017 and is ongoing. The study examined all previous data and captured new data along the shoreline. It divided the shoreline into transects and measured the locations of the mean high water mark and the crest of the dune. The study has found erosional rates varied from 0.7 feet per year up to 7.68 feet per year, a loss of over 3 acres of land, and hundreds of cubic yards of materials. The complete findings of the study were published in the International Journal of Remote Sensing, which can be found online. The graphic in the lower right of this slide is representative of the data collected by this study. The purple line shows the location of the ridge of the dune in 2020. The yellow line, the location in 2021. As you can see, while not every area of the shoreline has retreated, there has been erosion occurring in 2 specific locations. Looking at the cumulative data from this study, you can see a trend line that shows the erosion has accelerated rapidly since about the mid-2000s. In addition to the work conducted by Florida Atlantic University, the contracted engineer for this project, Taylor Engineering, has also been collecting and analyzing data relative to shoreline erosion. Taylor Engineering has collected topography data this year and compared it to data collected in 2009. Their comparison includes plan views of elevations, changes in contours, and cross-sections every 100 feet along the shoreline. The graphic on the right of this slide is a comparison of contour changes. The dotted lines represent data collected in 2009, the solid lines data collected this year. Each color is associated with a specific contour at 0, 5, 10, and 15 feet. Spend a moment to study the slide and understand how the shoreline has retreated. The graphics shown on this slide are plan views of elevation changes. As you look at these graphics, you'll see the darker red colors represent the highest change in elevation. The scale on the graphic on the left goes from 0 to 3 feet. On the right, the scale goes from 0 to in excess of 15 feet. As you study these graphics, you will see there has been erosion along the entire shoreline, with the greatest rates of erosion occurring in the southern high elevation dune portion. The graphics on this and the next slide are cross-sections of the shoreline about midpoint in each section. As you look at the graph, the magenta line represents the data from 2009, the blue line data collected this year. You will be able to see the retreat of the shoreline. On this slide, it's representing the dune section of the shoreline. On this slide, it's representing the lower elevation closer to the bridge section of the shoreline. And you'll see there was obviously more erosion on the dune than there has been on the lower elevation portion. After an examination of the data, the issue of shoreline erosion and accelerating erosion are indisputable, and in order to protect those congressionally identified values, something must be done. Which leads me to the 2009 through 2012 project. This project had multiple design iterations that focused on stabilization of the shoreline and enhancement of aquatic and terrestrial habitats. The project had some public controversy as it limited motorboat access to the shoreline. Ultimately, the project was approved, permitted, and easements granted. However, no funding was ever provided for construction. The current project differs from the previous project as funding for design and engineering has been provided through the Great American Outdoors Act. Partial funding has also been awarded for construction. The project is also different because of its multiple use and interdisciplinary approach. The project seeks to alleviate erosion and deposition of material into the intercoastal waterway while stabilizing the shoreline and stopping the loss of land. In doing so, it will eliminate the safety concerns from collapsing sand and falling vegetation and protect the navigability of the intercoastal waterway. While the project will enhance aquatic and terrestrial habitats, it will also accommodate recreational elements that allow for continued shoreline use of both pedestrians, non-motorboats, and motorboats at appropriate locations. This will maintain and enhance the scenic integrity of the outstanding natural area while protecting and preserving the other values of this property. For the purpose of this project, the shoreline is broken down into 3 segments with different physical and visitor use characteristics. Segment 1 along the Loxahatchee has no visitor access and is characterized by a high dune that has had some previous attempts at stabilization and erosion control. Segment 2 is a large expanse of open sand and high dune that is popular with boaters and pedestrian users. Segment 3, closer to the bridge, is popular with boaters and pedestrian users and is characterized by a low elevation shoreline. With the difference in characteristics of the segments of the shoreline, different engineering solutions are required to resolve the issue. I should stress that we have not yet started the engineering work on this project, and this presentation is an opening to interested parties and stakeholders to help us look for solutions that fit and meet the objectives discussed on the previous slide. That said, the engineering team in the Bureau of Land Management have begun to talk about concepts that might address the problem. These concepts include the idea of observation piers, similar to that previously constructed in association with our existing Living Shoreline project. The observation pier allows the user to get out over the water and gain a new perspective of their public lands. In addition, the in-water structure is beneficial for the marine environment and can be associated with other shoreline stabilization features and natural plantings. Another concept is that of a pocket beach. These features combine riprap revetments, sheet piling, and living shoreline elements and continue to provide access to the shoreline for a variety of users, including motorboats. Please note, the concepts presented here are early ideas. The drawings are not to scale and no engineering work has begun. They are presented for the purpose of discussion and to solicit feedback and ideas from our interested parties and stakeholders. Which brings me to understanding your perspectives. We would like to hear from you on your perspectives on erosion and stabilization of the ONA shoreline. Please consider the issue. The resource values at stake are congressional mandate to protect and enhance all resource values in a balanced fashion. Please consider potential solutions and identify any opportunities that might exist throughout this project. Please also let us know your concerns about the project and about its implementation. To most accurately capture your input, it is best submitted in writing to the Bureau of Land Management. Please capture your thoughts, perspectives, and potential solutions and email them to blm_es_jupiterona@blm.gov. While this is not the only opportunity for public engagement in this project, your response is most helpful when received by February 22nd for inclusion in a summary report of stakeholder and interested party input. Thank you for your attention throughout this presentation. If you wish to get more information about the project, please reach out to us directly. To stay informed, visit us on Facebook at BLM Jupiter Inlet or our official website on screen now. There will be other opportunities for public engagement throughout this process, and I look forward to hearing from you and working with you. Thank you.